Hello everyone, Dead Logic here, welcome back. Today we're going to look at some essential items that every leather whip owner should have on hand for functionality and just for the care of your whip and to keep yourself from being dead in the water if something does happen to your whip. So let's jump right into it. First thing you're going to need when you purchase a whip, you're going to need a good leather conditioner. Now I have two varieties here. This is an Australian leather conditioner, and I got it from Blake Brunning at Trinity Whip Company. Really nice, kind of a lotion almost for your leather. All natural ingredients, really good stuff. And I also have the staple of just about any whip maker is Picard's leather dressing. This is a paste. Been around for a long time. Both of these are readily available. And I said this one Trinity Whip Company, and this one I got on Amazon. It's a I think it was $6-7 for this. So, and that's from the Tandy Leather Company. Now when you get your whip, you don't need to dress it right away, but as you use it, you're going to want to put the dressing on the whip to keep the leather conditioned. And you're also going to want to condition your fall after you use your whip, as it takes the most stress. Now, one word of warning: do not under any circumstances use neat's foot oil. Neat's foot oil breaks down the fibers to soften the leather. Your whip will become pliable through use, not through oils that you're going to apply to it. This conditioner will simply rehydrate your leather, keep it from drying out, keep it from cracking on you, and keep it pliable, whereas neat's foot oil will break down the fibers to make it soft. That's why it's used on latigos and moving components of a saddle, because it'll stop that creaking noise, whereas with a whip you shouldn't have creaking to begin with, and you don't want to break it down unnaturally. You want it to work itself in through regular use and not forced or chemically enhanced. So a good leather conditioner is key. The next item we have is a Fydd. Now this is an incredibly important tool for you to have. This is C.S. Osborne and Company from Harrison, New Jersey. Now a Fydd, a blunt leatherworking Fydd, is your basic tool for opening up the fall hitch if you need to, and removing your fall, working any lacing that may come loose or become shifted, both in the transition and heel knots. And it's rather unique, as the edges are rounded and the tip is not sharp, it's rather blunt. So as you press it into in between the lacing, it will open it up, and you can give it a little twist and it'll round out the area, especially when you're changing your fall on the fall hitch. A lot of people use screwdrivers and nails on their whips, and this has some inherent problems with it. One, if you use a nail, nails have sharp edges during the foundry and cutting process, so that can in essence damage your whip, especially if you're trying to press it through the fall hitch or move rounding of the lacing. Another issue that you're going to run into, if the nail isn't galvanized or isn't treated, you will literally leave metal particles or metal dust behind, as nails usually sit in a bucket or a bin, and small bits of metal come off, and that metal will get inside your fall hitch or in between the lacing, and any moisture that's in the atmosphere will cause that to rust. And you're going to end up with rust inside the lacing of your whip, which is inherently bad, not to mention the grinding nature or the abrasive nature of metal shaving on leather. So get yourself a Fydd. They're not that expensive, and they're really handy, and not just for leather work, just about anything. If you can't get a knot out, use a Fydd. A Fydd will get your knot out for you. Also, they have a very small, short handle, so it's easy to get in your palm and do fine work. You control with your thumb, things of that nature. Also, when you're removing your fall, as you get underneath the fall and pop it loose there, then you have a cutting surface to cut that fall in half so you can pull it out through the fall hitch. So use this rather than a screwdriver. A screwdriver has some inherent problems as well, as it does have sharp edges on it. And when you rotate a screwdriver to open it up, those sharp edges, which are not rounded off, they're usually flat ground, they will cause damage to the leather. So essentially you're cutting your leather to pieces the more times you use a screwdriver on it. That's why they have these tools. I got this on Amazon for $6.75. Free shipping through Prime. So really consider getting a Fydd if you're considering getting a whip. You're making this investment in this piece of functional artwork. You're going to want to take care of it and take care of it properly. Another thing that you're going to need is a good sharp knife. Now, I have a lot of knives, but for any type of utility work or leather, things like that, I use one of these guys. It's a folding utility knife with a removable blade. It's incredibly sharp, blade replaceable, and if you're worried about the sharp angle of the leading edge, you can get a blunt blade. The nice thing about these, you don't have to sharpen them. You can get a pack of 100 blades for $16, and you'll have plenty of blades to last you a long time. So as you are replacing your fall, or if you have to cut back your whip, something like that, you can give a nice straight cut to it, and you don't have to mess around with using a potentially dull knife. You're always going to have a sharp blade. It's foldable. You can put it in your bag, carry with you if you go somewhere to use your whip, or if you go to a show or performance, something like that. Have this on hand, have extra blades, and then you won't be dead in the water. So speaking of dead in the water, another thing that I always like to have on hand is either extra falls or extra fall material. One thing you're going to want to do is learn how to make a fall. And you can get the material, it's leather of course, you can get the proper tan for it, you can get the white hide, or you can just buy falls from a lot of your whip makers. Have a couple of these on hand, because there's nothing worse than out there cracking your whip and you break your fall, or your fall wears out, and then you're dead in the water because you have no means of replacing it, because you're not going to want to try and crack your whip with a broken fall. It's bad for the whip, and it just makes for a really bad day. So make sure that you've got some fall material or some spare falls on hand. Another thing you're going to want, extra crackers. So rather than use your whip until your cracker wears out and then just wait, or try to crack your whip without a cracker on it, it will crack, but it's really hard on the whip and it could potentially break your fall. Get the material to make your own crackers, or you can purchase crackers from some very reputable sources. A lot of your whip makers carry these crackers. They're very inexpensive. You can get just about any material you want. I have a bunch of poly crackers here. I also use Kevlar and Kevlar poly blend. So get the material that you want, learn how to make a cracker. There are a ton of tutorials online about how to make crackers. And another thing that I like to do is I carry beeswax. Now the beeswax, specifically for me, and this can apply to any cracker, is the feathered end of the cracker as it frays. If you have a material like Kevlar or Dacron or something like that, which is a really fibrous material and it grabs on and knots itself, what I'll do is I will take a piece of beeswax, as it's all natural and it won't hurt your whip, and I will hold it on the beeswax and drag that cracker through it. Once I've cracked it a few times, that gives it a nice little coat of beeswax, and it keeps that cracker from looping around and knotting and the feathered portion together, which is almost impossible to get out, because once it does that, then you're going to need one of these, and you're going to need another one of these. So this will help alleviate that issue. All you have to do is rub a little beeswax on it. Beeswax is cheap. It's a really good material. In addition to that, you can take a little bit of beeswax. If your hand gets a little bit sore, put a little bit of beeswax on that callus you start to develop as you're starting off early, and it'll allow you to still have some grip and at the same time allow that heel knot to pivot in your hand. That just about wraps it up for the essential tools that you're going to need when you're first buying a whip. Just remember that you're investing this money in a high quality leather whip. You're going to want to take care of it. And by having these essential tools, it'll keep you cracking, and it'll keep your whip healthy and happy. Like, subscribe, and share, and you have a great day.